Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Revival of America podcast. This is Jenny. I'm the owner and the host of the Revival of America. Today we have Captain Kyle in the house, everybody. So please, if you have questions for Captain, raise your hand and I will start unmuting mics and you can ask Captain your question. If you cannot speak, there is his picture on the wall. You can write your question underneath the comment section there and I will read those as well. Kelly is not feeling very well today, so she will not be in this show today because she's obviously getting better. So I will be reading the questions as well as calling on you. Also, to everybody, please be careful who you listen to, who you follow, what you're putting in your mind, especially now with all this stuff with Charlie Kirk. It's insanity. It's just like it's so dangerous out there. What's happening? So please, everybody, be careful. Stick and stay with the 3 to 5 people that haven't led you wrong through the course of your journey here. More than likely, they're going to get you over this hump. And if you're just really that confused, follow Donald Trump, and then obviously, first and foremost, follow God, because at the end of the day, God has already won this war, and He will always be there for you. So. And what I want to say, everybody, regarding the Charlie Kirk, and I've been saying it on all of my podcasts, what he has left is a legacy and a definite movement for sure. So if you know, we can't we can't let him go in vain by trying to act like the other side, right? I know a lot of people's emotions are sad, mad, confused, don't know what's going on. We have a lot of the other side, with a lot of the hate, pushing these videos, celebrating his passing, which is absolutely disgusting. But we aren't those people, everybody, right? George Floyd, when that happened, they burned cities down, and we don't do that. We come together in prayer. So remember that about Charlie. He was not divisive. He was not hateful. He was not racist. He would not have wanted this. He encouraged every debate with everybody and anybody, black, white, doesn't matter what ethnicity, anything. He encouraged all of that. So please remember that. And we are seeing a huge revival around, not just here in America, but worldwide. So remember that when it comes to Charlie Kirk, and just know that we are not that other side instilling the hate, and we don't celebrate stuff like that, right? And we don't go burn cities down when stuff like this happens. So please keep your emotions in check. Your feelings are valid, absolutely 100%. But at the end of the day, we know our emotions get the best of us sometimes, and that's where we kind of step on our toes. So please, everybody, just be careful. A lot of stuff is going to be coming out more and more as the days and the weeks to come. I think this is just the beginning of what's to come. So please be careful, everybody. Stick and stay with the 3 to 5 people, again, that haven't led you wrong through the course of your journey. Also, to everybody, if you come in late to the podcast, you can follow us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Google, Breaker, PocketCast, Podbean, Riverside, Amazon Music. Social medias are Jenny JERREAD Facebook, at Jenny_JERREAD X, at JJERREAD Rumble, at JJERREAD True Social, at JJERREAD Instagram, The Revival of America right here on Telegram. And then I'm out of timeout over on YouTube. So that is The Revival of America as well. I highly suggest you guys follow one of those locations just in case you can't hear it over there on Rumble. But please always check your settings on whatever device you're watching us on, because majority of the time it winds up being your guys' settings on your device. Also, if you have a personal email or you want to get in contact with one of my... Sorry, guys. Please let me know at therevivalofamerica.com. No, the Revival of America at yahoo.com. And then I will reach back out to you and get you in contact with John. If you're looking to talk about Fields books, whatever it may be, email me there, because that is my personal email. And then check out the website, therevivalofamerica.com. There is a newsletter over there. You can sign up. It's free. You'll get the weekly updates on the show lineups, as well as the updated podcast. And with that, everybody, Captain Kyle is in the house, and I know many of you are probably anxious to hear what Captain Kyle has to say, regarding this unfortunate incident. I'm still having to wrap my mind around it. I mean, you guys, it's been a week today since it happened. So, Mr. Captain Kyle, our favorite captain, how are you, my friend? Are you there, Cap? Hello? Can you hear me?
I hear you fine.
Okay. Let's see. Do a mic check. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
How are you? Oh my gosh. What a crazy times, man. Like, oh my gosh, I'm still wrapping my mind around it.
Yes. But I can tell you right now that all that you know is all bullshit. Every single bit of it. And so you cannot believe anything that you think you know because it's all lies, all of it.
And and I agree with you. And that's kind of where I think myself and many of us struggle. We know that we've all been lied to, right? Things aren't always as they seem. And it's just, I think for me, seeing it, it's just kind of like shock and awe, right? I mean, natural human reaction. But no, I'm right there with you 100%. I know a lot of people are trying to dissect it and figure out as they should. People ask questions, do your research, take what resonates with you. I get it. But I'm right there with you, Captain. It's been a week. Let's just say that.
It has. And the deal with all of it is that I know it's hard, but this is not something that people are built to actually visually witness. And the last time that this actually took place was actually JFK. And to be able to see it in like it actually happening, and so on and so forth. Well, as we know, that didn't happen the way that we thought it happened then either, and that was a lie as well, so that he could go behind the scenes. But it appeared as if it was real and actually took place. And so with this, everything that was told to us, everything that we saw, did you see exactly what you think you saw? And was it with what you thought you saw it with? 100%. And that's a hard thing to wrap your head around when there are ways of making this happen and not being what we think it is. Meaning that there are clones, there are other ways of manifesting this. And for someone in this, one of the things that really caused a lot of questions is that how the responses were, how the information was being told to us, how it was being wrapped up in a little bow. And the bow absolutely made no sense whatsoever. I mean, absolutely none. The guy didn't have a gun getting off the roof. And I mean, do you not think we cannot see that? And why would he disassemble a gun that you can't disassemble? There were two different guns. First one showed was what it found. Up, that's not the one. It's this one. And basically put it in a box after putting it back together, after stopping and hanging out in the woods. And it's like nothing that you were told made sense about any of the information. Oh, and it happened to be 33 actual hours to the point where we caught the guy. Oh, how about 33? And then Cash Patel telling Charlie that he's going to see you in Valhalla.
Yep.
Well, Charlie Kirk was an avid Christian, and I mean a Bible believing Christian, to the point where that would have been an absolute insult that he was actually going to Valhalla and not heaven. And the Patel actually was friends with him. So was it a, a clue, a sign of people listening and saying this isn't right and going further and not believing things that are being presented to us? Absolutely, I believe it was. Because if that all was what it really was, and knowing their friendship, knowing his beliefs 100%, he would have never made that reference whatsoever, because that would have been a complete insult to him, his family, and his faith, 1,000% over. But just before that actually happens, we talk about one, talking about the Witsec Island of Valhalla and being a place that they put people that they don't transition back into society, or that are there being transitioned back into society, somebody else. So, is it real? Well, you believe what you want to believe, and you just continue to go down the path that you're going to go down. But the messaging that he had is, his voice is 1,000 times greater now that this has happened. The impact of what people visually believe they witnessed, and how that is changing society globally because of it, is more impactful now than it would have ever been if it would have continued on the way it was going. Where, it's like, even you have the craziest thing in the world is, when in the world have you ever heard of a foreign leader of a country come out right after it happens on prime time, basically, and trying to distance himself from the fact that we didn't have nothing to do with his killing? I mean, what? That you don't, that's absolutely the craziest thing in the world for that to even happen. And so, moving forward, there's no way that that could have been facilitated by an individual by himself, but it has actually brought highlights and light to these organizations, these threats that are out there that people would have never believed possible if they didn't go through this experience. Because all of these things in which we're going through are experiences, good, bad, or indifferent, and they are part of the plan overall. Because even if Charlie was executed, which I don't believe that himself was, but that's here nor there, even if that was to happen, that means God facilitated the allowance of it to happen for the greater good, for whatever purpose outside of our pay grade. And even at that, with the white hat's ability to use Looking Glass and everything else that we know that they have access to, and know that these events are something that are of this magnitude, would have definitely been foreshadowed in it. There would have no way allowed that to actually happen unless it was ordained, or that needed to happen in a way that was presented to the people as it happened, just as JFK did. So everything that's being done out there is highlighting the division of people who are doing it, and trying to cause us to be more divided. And it's, every time that happens, it brings more exposure to the people that it's happening. It's like you're highlighting the 1% of the left that are crazy people. You're highlighting 1% of the right-wing crazy people, and then trying to influence all of the 99% in between, or 98% in between, to hate each other as well. Excuse me. And trying to keep us divided in a means that we potentially go into a civil war type situation, which is not going to happen. The manifestation of that is that if you really truly think about the plan of the enemy and how they keep us divided, how they always kept us divided, is that very purpose is so that you don't see your neighbor, the one you're supposed to love, even though they're nothing like you, as basically just a person, just like you are, with most of the same values that you do, even though they see things kind of differently within their own perspective. And it's like they still want the best for their family. They still want a good job. They still want the government to stay out of their taxes and their benefits and all their stuff. It's like they have more, you have more in common with the person on the left in all reality than what you really think. So it's just a couple of things that are basically blown out of proportion because of the radical lunatics that you think all of them are that ideology. It's like I was saying the other day, is that I hate Starbucks, the company itself. I hate them with a passion. But I go to my local Starbucks shop every single day, multiple times a day, and not to support Starbucks, even though it does, but it's actually to support the kids that work there. And they are different, but I love them. I treat them with love, and I have been for years. I give them gifts for Christmas, every single one of them that work there, all 30 employees. And I do this every single year. And I mean, there's kids that are there that they have blue hair and they have all of this the quirky stuff, but they know I love them and they love me. And we actually have conversations all the time just about what's going on in your life. How are you doing today? What's your goals? Are you going back to school? I mean, just common, just being a friend to them. And it's like, if we could ever get fucking past the mainstream media's narrative of people not believing all of the crap you're being sold and start talking to the people that are around you, you will figure out that even though they're not like you, they don't have the same basic, hobbies that you may have or whatever, but in reality, they're still just human. They still love their family and they still want the best for their wife or their kids and so on and so forth. And in that, we all are the same.
Thank you, Captain. And yeah, that's a good point, everybody. I was talking about that at the beginning of the show, is that we need to remember Charlie's legacy, right? And continue that. We need to pick up that mic and even make it stronger. So he has grown in a tremendous amount since this has all happened. And, it's unfortunate something like this has to take place. But like Captain said, for the good of, God makes things happen for whatever good it is for. But I'm right there with you, Captain. I kind of let it all play out. We're going to see more and more stuff, but things for me, things don't add up. Like you say, nothing makes sense. But yeah, I'm right there with you. But I think for me, the hardest thing is for me to see it. And it was that shock and awe, kind of like you say, the JFK. So everybody, I just
Like
say,
this.
go ahead.
It's really like this. As soon as all this started happening, the only thing that I did was make a short video announcing the fact that it happened and that we need to stop this crap. And the animals that are pushing this shit need to be dealt with because that's what they are. They are just unhumane. And in doing so, I pulled back for days on purpose. And then I shut the channel down because I didn't want a bunch of crazy town. Everybody has their own freaking nutsy opinions, right? And it wasn't about punishing people. It was about showing people to just back off and just take things in, observe for days and see the narrative that's being pushed out there. And when you begin to step back, don't be, I'm going to be the first one to debunk it, or I'm going to be the first one to find out who did it. And no. Step back and see the narrative that's being pushed out there and go, that kind of stinks. Oh, they're pushing us. Why are they oh man, this doesn't look good. Why? Oh my gosh. And you start to have these thoughts about the things that are actually being presented to you. And it's like, well, that doesn't add up. Well, that don't add up. Why are they doing this? Oh, because they're trying to make us think like this. And sure and shit, people start buying into that, and then they start making all of these videos about this and that. And it's like, you guys, yes, it's good that you want to try, but it's best to observe and to stay out of the noise. Because when you get caught up in the noise, you're being reactive to the craziness instead of sitting back, being observant, and then responding in an intelligent, thoughtful manner on what's actually being presented to you. And it's like, not, all of this stinks of high heaven, even though I witnessed what I witnessed and people there witnessed what they witnessed. But I think there was another time back on 9/11 where I sat on my fucking couch and watched fucking planes go into a building that did not fucking happen that way. And who was responsible for it? Our fucking government and Israel. Because Israel is fucking evil. I'm not talking about the people. I'm talking about the corrupt fucking leadership of the ones that are the Khazarian takeover Jew that do not have anything to do with a good bone in their body. They follow the Kabbalah. And as far as the Kabbalah is concerned, we are less than dogs. So when you start to talk about Israel and you start talking about the corruption of that, just like October 7th, no fucking way could Hamas actually done what they did unless they were a part of it. So Israel actually allowed, facilitated all of that. And man, there happened to be, pictures of that actually happening that was done years before that on them actually doing that very thing. And how would that be? Somebody has great insight and wisdom? No, it's all part of the fucking plan. So you guys need to understand the evil of Israel, the leadership, and the people that are there are not who they say they are, just like the people that are here in our government are not who they say they are, and what they have all represented, which is the corruption and the downfall of all of humanity as to be their servants and slaves, because that's all they see us as. And when you step back and break free from all of that, it doesn't have any kind of influence over you. Q said Israel saved for last. It didn't say one reason why, but it's presenting itself right now as to why.
Yep.
Because they're the head of the fucking snake all over the world. Period.
Bingo. So
And I'm not
everybody,
talking about the Israel nation.
no, I get
the
it.
Israel that the Bible speaks of is the nation of Israel, not the state of Israel. The state of Israel was created by the Rothschilds and given to them the land. That was not
Yep.
the nation. A nation is people, just like the Aztec nation. It's a nation of people. It's nothing to do with the land. It is the people. And the nation of Israel is the people that the Bible is talking about, not the place. The place has been basically overrun by snakes, just like the Vatican was, just like every other institution of control and manipulation of people forever. And now we are all breaking free of all of that. And in doing so, you're putting light to the darkness of these areas. And when it gets exposed, it's ugly. And in the process, it fights back. And in fighting back, it gets even uglier. And so I've said just how bad this is all going to be. And it's only going to get worse. So buckle the fuck up. And that's not to be scared at all, because there's nothing to be scared or fearful of, because you're an eternal being. This is an experience, period. You're an eternal being having experience in this position, this place, and this time. That is it. You are eternal. And if
Amen.
you truly grasp that, there is nothing to be fearful of at all, period.
Amen, Captain. Thank you for that. And everybody, this is why it goes down to, and I'm not shitting you, and Captain Kyle says it, many of us say it, you really need to be careful who you follow. That's a thing, everybody, because, you know, like Captain said, we knew a lot of this stuff was going to happen. We knew it was going to be bumpy. Did we know if this was going to happen? No. But did we know still more things are going to come? So there's a lot of people out there misleading people, and we really need to pay attention to who's going to be that person that picks up the mic for Charlie Kirk, right? So just be careful, everybody. There's a lot of shysters out there, and I think they're going to be more and more exposed as the days and the weeks to come of people that we thought might have been good and that we're following, that they wind up on the other side. And I'm already starting to see it and question several people already just through the course of this whole Charlie Kirk thing. So thank you for that, Captain. And everybody here, let's go into some questions. I know you guys have questions for Captain, so please start raising your hands. I have unmuted a few mics. Captain gives us about 90 minutes of his time. So let's see. I've got Petunia. You raised your hand first, so go ahead. Your mic is unmuted. Go ahead, Petunia. Your mic is unmuted.
I'm sorry. That was a mistake.
Okay, thank you. All right, Gloria, how about you? Your mic is unmuted. Push the blue button in the middle of your screen, Gloria. Your mic is unmuted. Go ahead. All right, Karen H. Let's go, everybody. If you guys have questions, let's go
Hi,
ahead.
Jenny. Hi,
Go ahead.
Captain Kyle. Hey, I'm just trying to figure out this whole plot of this movie, as we all are. But why did Charlie support Israel, for so long, and then, of course, he started to turn around? Was that just part of has he been working with the White Hats, or was that part of the script, or? Because I've always been suspicious of all these people that were in support of Israel, right? Because he really
So
wasn't.
you have to understand that Charlie was very young and very impressionable when he started all this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he actually had donors and people that actually helped fund his rise. And that was individuals that were a part of the Jewish state.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
And over time, he basically started to witness and believe, just like everyone else, especially with the ways that he actually debated just anybody for any reason whatsoever. And over time, he began to have a different viewpoint on Netanyahu. There are things that didn't make sense, like how he was beginning to question how in the hell could they get through. I've been to the wall, I've been to Gaza, I've been there and seen all of the security measures that are in place there, and there ain't no effing way that this could have happened the way that they're saying it could happen. And it's like, when you start to have those enlightened moments on your own, it's like it begins to start to change you, and it changes your vision that, man, I was wrong. I'm still in bed with some of these people financially. I'm trying to break away. And Netanyahu actually offered him, it was an ungodly amount of money. I mean, yeah, it was a ridiculous million. Yeah, it would have doubled his actual yearly budget. And so it had taken him over $300 million for a year. And that's an ungodly amount of money to buy loyalty. And he turned it down. I don't want nothing to do with it. You're not buying me anymore. And in doing so, he knew the threat that he was putting himself into 100%. But that was okay with him. Even if he did actually die, he was okay with it. Just like I'm okay with it. And the reason that I am is because I know that this is only an experience. I'm eternal, and I've been to the other side. I can't tell you how many times, spiritually and in a way that is more real than the reality of this matrix that we actually believe is real. And so, in that, the thing that we experience, and this is one thing that I had to learn, is that I made some comments that I wished I wouldn't have made about when the girls actually lost their life in the flooding. And the reason is that I knew that they knew that they were going to be martyred coming here. And that is a reality. But it didn't change the fact that people had lost, they were hurting. And in that, I was insensitive to their actual feelings, which are real. And I was wrong for that. And I should have never been insensitive to someone's pain while they're going through it. It wasn't the right time. It was far from the right time. But yeah, we make a contract. We know the things that are going to happen to us, and we sign up for it willingly, going, yeah, I want to be a part of that because of what it's going to bring to the world. When you come into the world, you don't remember it. We go through life, and you don't know that that's what's going to happen to you before it happens, but you did from your higher self and from the spiritual side. So when you get into the spirit, in the spirit, you prophesy, you speak, you have connection to the spirit sees things as everything present now. The past, the future, and the now is all the same. And it's really hard to explain because we live in a linear timeline, but they operate in a higher state of consciousness where time does not exist in a linear function in fashion like we do now. And so it's really when you know things are going to happen before they happen, well, how did you know that? If you didn't get led to believe that in one way, shape, or form, or fashion, or prophesy it or whatever, because I've been prophesying for, I don't know, 10 or 15 years. And I cannot tell you how many times that it's come true. And those things that I don't know whether they did or they didn't, doesn't matter because it made impact in their life for a positive purpose. And that may have been the reason that I was talking to them to begin with. And so it's like the experience that we're going through, it all matters. Everything that everything that's happening to you right now, whether it's good or it's bad or anywhere in between, it has you exactly where you're supposed to be. And if you could just realize that and go, God's in control of everything because there is nothing that exists outside of our creator. And so he is fully in control of everything, has me exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be going through what I'm supposed to be going through. And what am I supposed to be getting out of this? Because if I do that and get what I'm supposed to be getting out of it, I don't have to go around that mountain again. I get to go up the mountain, not around it. And so that's what we have to begin to learn is going up the mountain, not around the mountain, over and over. Why's me? Woe's me, blah, blah, blah. No, if you just release control, because we're control freaks, we want to try to control everything about our life. When we turn loose of it and know that everything is going to happen exactly the way it's supposed to, and walk into it with gratitude and with a different perspective of good, bad, and indifferent. Oh, I'm going to get this job. I didn't get this job. Well, this job was not the job that I was supposed to get, but the one that I'm supposed to have, I'm supposed to be getting. And how am I supposed to get it? I don't know, but it's not going to be sitting here on this couch believing something's going to happen and manifest when I'm not out there trying to find it. Because God will order my steps, not my butt sitting on a couch doing nothing. And so we work with God and he directs us. And it's all about how we operate within that direction. It's like when I got poisoned, I didn't know how it happened. I was on death's bed, but I immediately went to the hospital. And in going to the hospital, my wife's like, she knows it's like, no, you don't go to the hospital. Unless you're dying, you don't go. I went because I knew I was on death's bed. And then when I got there, I knew that God was in control and that nothing was going to happen to me that he was not going to allow. And when they asked me to stay and to stay I was there 5 days, and it was miserable in the fact there was a hospital. I was okay with it because I knew that God had me exactly where I was supposed to be in this. And on day 2, I got a message from Carrie from South Africa. And she had made this message the day before. I didn't know it yet. And I was sitting outside with my little freaking IV, sitting out in the sun, on the patio next to the building. And Carrie gave me this message, and I listened to it, and I just started bawling because it was a direct message from the Spirit talking to me through her. And I walked out into the grass, took my shoes off, and I was dragging around my IV stand in the grass, in the sun, praising God. And people inside the hospital was like, this guy's fucking crazy. And I'm like, I don't care. Because I just let it all go. And I never had a woe is me attitude in that I could have died at any point, and I knew it. But if that was going to happen, then that was God's purpose.
Thank you, Captain. All right, everybody. If you guys have questions for Captain, I have unmuted a few mics. Please raise your hand and you want to ask him. Once we get to 550 participants, I can't see the hands. We're at 505 right now. So if you don't
Hey,
want
let me
to,
go out and come back. They're attacking my connection really bad.
okay. All right, yes. So if you guys want to ask him that question, any questions, raise your hand. I'll unmute your mic. Otherwise, write your question underneath the comments, underneath his picture, and we will get to those as well. Everybody, please be mindful. There are a lot of people that want to ask questions, so try to keep your questions pretty to the point, just because so we can move on to the next hands. So with that, Miss Grace, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead.
Hey, Jenny, thanks so much. And Captain Kyle, is he back in, Jenny? I didn't want to.
Yes.
He's here.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you so much. So, in light of the fact that we've all been waiting for this great awakening and truths to be told to we the people instead of more lies, covering up agendas, covering up psyops, what is your take, Captain Kyle, on the fact that this has happened to Charlie Kirk? We see the lies, we see the different shooters out in the crowd, and we see them trying to make us think it's the guy on the roof, which it's not, with grainy photos when there's drones everywhere, and there's 22,000 cameras on that campus. Why are we not getting the truth from this administration to say, hey, there's more to this? This is not the truth. It's like they literally assassinated him, so to speak, if they did. Then they carried him off, put him in. Now he's having a funeral, and it's like they've closed the case. Kinda. I know Cash said there's more to it, but what is your take on? Are we going to get the truth, or are we still going to get psyoped and lied to? Just your take. Thank you, and God bless you.
So the truth does not come from a governmental source. That's not going to happen. The Great Awakening is awakening to the truth of your own witness. And knowing that this is what it is and has absolutely nothing to do with a validation of the government actually bringing to bear those things in which you want to be heard as the truth. Now, eventually, that will actually happen, but that is not what the Great Awakening is about. Never was. It's about wakening up to the truth of your truth. And where it comes from is not from an official source within the government body telling you this is truth. That's why the lies are so much easier to spot now, and knowing that this is not the actual truth. And what is that you're waking up to the lies that we're being told. That's what's waking up more people to the Great Awakening. And people all over the world are standing up in ways that are just absolutely phenomenal on saying enough is enough. We're not putting up with your bullshit anymore. And it has absolutely nothing really to do with the fact that we're being lied to. It has to do with us actually waking up internally that we're sovereign beings, and none of this is the way it's supposed to be, and we're not going to deal with it anymore. Period.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Captain Kyle.
Thank you, Grace. All right. Facts prevail. Your mic is unmuted. Go ahead.
Hi, Jenny. Thanks, Jenny, for your show as always. Love your
Of
show.
course.
Captain Carl, I just love listening to you. My question is, this is just my opinion. I think the whole thing is a white hat production. And I think that they did this to wake up more people, because clearly you can see in the crowd, there was like five to six people that were giving all sorts of hand signs. And I mean, you can clearly see that this is, I mean, not a actual real, assassination. I mean, to me, this is what I see. And I'm sure a lot of other people saw the same thing. I'm just thinking that they did this, the white hats, to wake up more people, to have people say, "Oh, wait a minute, that's not why. Why is this happening? Why is this?" Because clearly they dragged him out and put him in a black SUV, and then they took him to some hospital, and I guess the first floor of the hospital was all shut down. They took out all the patients. They wouldn't let anybody else go in that floor. So it's just kind of there's too many questions, but no answers to it. So it's like the whole thing, it just doesn't make sense. I would like to know your opinion, Captain Carl, because I really treasure your opinion. So what do you think? Am I just kind of exaggerating a bit, or do you think that I'm kind of close?
No, I don't. I think that you're on the right track. And I think yes, it was a production. And I think that because he was actually in real threat, just as others have been, myself and others, I've been attempted a couple of times actually. And the poisoning I was just talking to you about before, knowing that was it. The hospital still to this day does not have a why or how I was on death's bed that I was when I came in there. And it's like the ability to use something that is potentially going to happen, but you take control over it, just like JFK did, knowing that they were going to do the assassination, but in doing so, they took the lead in it and basically controlled it and made it to be something that they didn't know was actually happening. I believe this is the same thing, to expose these criminal groups and the evil that is a part of them, their funding, the ideologies that's behind them, and so on and so forth, but also the ties that it has to these foreign intelligence agencies as well as our own intelligence agencies, and using it in a way of something that was intentionally meant to be bad, turn it into something that will be used as a way to be good. Just like his message and his voice is 1,000 times greater than if that did not happen, because of the emotional change that happened for people to witness what they believe they saw and how it impacts them, but also makes them to reevaluate themselves when they've seen other people reacting in a way that is disgusting to them in their viewpoint, but then they're associated with them and they're like, oh, I don't want no part of these people anymore. I can't stand, this is not who I am. Well, this reevaluation is a part of the process of the Great Awakening and people changing their perspective and right and wrong and how they're being led to have these ideology beliefs. And it's like I told the same thing with Trump's potential assassination. All of that was played out, all of it. And the deal with that is that the Corey guy, Lewandowski or whatever the hell his name was, I can't remember his name right now, Lewandowski, he was actually a sleeper cell and he was taken out. And so the guy that actually did get killed there was, even though he was a person in society that everybody thought was somebody that was, you know, a good community person, because that's what his role was until he got activated, was that very thing. But whenever you deal with the mind control and the ability to have someone completely asleep to that control mechanism whenever they're activated, it's like all of a sudden a switch happens and they don't even know why they do what they do, but that's the way it is. And they live perfectly adapted lives that you would have never thought that it was coming from these individuals or how it actually is playing out. And this is the part going back all the way to what the Nazis were doing in the end of World War II and with mind control. And what did we do to all those scientists? We all brought them all the freaking United States and other countries through our fucking programs and changing their identities and everything else, put them in the charge of NASA. And, you know, it's just, all this stuff just didn't make sense when you first get introduced to it, because it's like, why would you do that? Oh, well, because it's a part of, you know, we're on that same side of, you know, where everybody is just our freaking chattel. It's us against them. And if you're not a part of us, well, then we don't really care nothing about you. You're just facilitators for us. And they don't have any moral compass at all when it comes to seeing you as a human. And that's what people have to see. And the only way you can see it is actually experience it, because you don't have that perception before. And that's why I said when people see that, you're not built to actually process something like that. So when people go to war for the first time, that's when you find out whether you can deal with it or not. You think you're all gung-ho and everything till you actually bullets start flying, and you don't know how you're going to act until that happens. Or get into a burning building and freak out because you thought you could deal with it till you basically panicked. And that's whenever you find out what you're built for or not built for when you get into those circumstances. And the last time that that was actually something that was people actually experienced was JFK, and now the assassination of Charlie. And so people have taken that experience and actually used it for good, meaning the amount of people that have been fired, disciplined, and the narrative changed from them being the ones that were able to basically force you to do whatever they wanted you to do, or they were going to, you know, have you freaking fired or, you know, ran off from your job because you didn't have the same belief that they did, from Black Lives Matter to COVID to all these other bullshit things. And it's like the shoe got put on the other foot. And it's funny because how they actually just lose it. And I don't mean it in a way that it's entertaining to me. It's like such a double standard. But then I go back and I realize that most of those individuals are NPCs and they don't really have empathy or feelings like you and I do to question good, bad, and different. And those that have been caught up in it that do now actually begin to question it, they're actually going, oh, I ain't a part of this. And they're bailing out of that whole system. And it isn't about Republicans, Democrats, good, evil. It's the whole thing is a reevaluation of which way the extremists have taken everything and trying to put everybody else into that barrel. And it's not working because we're not all the same. And we're beginning to wake up to the fact that it's okay for us to have different beliefs, understandings, but it's not okay to react this way to someone that is exactly the same as you are. In flesh and blood, there's no purpose in that. And so we have to root out that ideology that if you believe different than me or that you say things that hurt the way I feel about life, that you deserve to be killed. That's not the way it is. That's murder, and that isn't okay, period. And those that want to celebrate that is not okay either, because that's not something that falls into free speech.
And not only that, everybody, Charlie wouldn't want that. That's not what his message
no,
was
not at all. Because he was actually an individual that wanted to hear everything from everybody's different sides, and he wanted to try to be able to listen to your point, and he did, and then try to counter your point with his own beliefs and to basically change your perspective into the way that he believed, unless it was just where you just fundamentally just came to a wall and there's no point because I'm not going to continue because you're just not going to see what I see, which is okay.
And really too, if you think about it, everybody, he was trying to unravel the indoctrination that a lot of these people had, right? Try to help them understand that no, that's not correct, right? So he really, his message was far and wide, and it was a really good message. And his message about the Lord is absolutely inspirational. So thank you for that, Captain. Did you want to say more? You went out and you came back in. Were you done? Did you want to say more on that?
So the thing that she's talking about is absolutely true. It is something that is being used to wake up people, and you can see it happening all around the world. But is what they're telling us really what happened and what we really saw, we think we saw? None of that is. Absolutely none of it. And so you're right in believing what you are feeling, because that's the thing that leads you into truth. And that's what the Great Awakening truly is. Not what I tell you, not what so-and-so tells you, but what you are telling yourself because of what you're experiencing. When you get to that point, that's when the Great Awakening is trying to freaking knock your door down, because you're not following what I'm telling you. I may basically either contradict what you're feeling, or I may be in line with what you're thinking, or none of the above, whatever. And that doesn't matter, because my truth is not your truth. The Great Awakening is figuring out your truth and what you believe and what you're willing to stand on of what your beliefs are. And that's what this is all about, finding your truths.
Amen. Thank you, Captain. All right. NC Badass Vet, go ahead. Your mic is unmuted.
Thank you. I just have a real quick question. Any thoughts on all the drips that are coming out on Cash Patel?
So the deal with that is that Cash has stuff that's in his closet, and I've known about this for years. It's not for me to say what those things are and how it's gonna fall out of the closet. But the deal with that is that I've got a lot of shit in my closet too, but that don't make me who I am today. I had to go through those things that are in my closet to become the man that I am today. And I wouldn't have changed any of it. Period.
Thank you, Captain. Did that answer your question, Badass Vet?
It did. Thank you, because that's what I thought too.
Thank you. All right. Ann Olson, your mic is unmuted if you're still here. I don't see. Are you still here? There you go, Ann. Go ahead. Your mic is unmuted. Go ahead, Ann. Push the blue button in the middle of your screen. All right, guys. I got to move on because Captain gives us 90 minutes. So let's see who's next. Jules, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead, Jules. Go ahead, Jules. Your mic is unmuted. All right. I'm moving on, everybody. Norma Reynolds, you got a question for, do you have a question for Captain Kyle? If so, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead.
I certainly do. Thank you. There are those that have said that things are going to be so good once this is all, the flip takes place, I guess you could say, and everything that we have had to go through is going to be worth it. Well, a little over 2 years ago, my husband passed, but I want to say that I know that he was already experiencing the fifth dimension or the other side, however you want to say it. And but I never felt like he left. I never felt like he went anywhere. My question is, do you think that the reason they're telling us it's going to be worth everything we've gone through is because they know that we soon are going to be with those people that we love that passed during this time, like a coming back together as soon as the veil is lifted?
So yes and no. So we're actually going to transition physically. They will be in spirit, but whenever you get into your crystalline body, into our next dimensional space, the ability for you to communicate to all of your spiritual connections are going to be like you and I talking right now.
Okay. All right. In other words,
So it's going to be like, even though they may not be there physically in the physical point, and right there, but you
Right.
will be able to communicate with them just like you're communicating with me right this minute. You don't see me, but you can hear me, and we can talk all day, because that's a way that the true spirit really is in the higher dimensional realms, because you don't speak through words, you actually use telepathy, and you
Exactly.
speak mind to mind.
Right.
And it's like you will be able to have all kinds of experiences that are going to flip you out when you get into 5D. Every time I go into 5D, I do not want to come back. But I have to, because I'm there in spirit and I'm not there in physical form, even though it's a physical place and I'm in it in that reality then.
Okay. And I
But
want
my
to thank.
body is laying in my bed at my house.
Right. I want to thank you for your reference to Carrie Kay, because she has been a jewel for me. She doesn't
I
know
love
it,
her to
but
death, and people pray for her right now, because she's going through a lot of physical attacks from the enemy spiritually, just like Kelly is right now. She's sick and not feeling well, and we need to pray for them, because our prayers do matter. And when we pray collectively, it is a collective that empowers our prayers in the collective, and it's very important.
right, it's true.
Thank you,
I want to.
Captain.
I want to
Thank you,
thank
Norm.
you.
Go ahead, Norm.
I was just going to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. All right, let's see. We've got Janet. Go ahead, Janet. Your mic is unmuted.
Hi. Okay.
Hello.
Hi. I love you, Captain Kyle. Thank you for all what you do. Anyway, I wanted to ask, I live in California, liberal, but something happened over the weekend, Saturday, where the area we live, where for the longest time they were doing, protests against Trump and all kinds of stuff. Well, Saturday, it all changed. It was huge for Charlie Kirk, but it also had take us back to our Constitution signs, you name it. It was amazing. But one of the things that I'm confused about, and maybe you could help me, is we have a bill that everybody's talking about that's supposed to pass in California, the AB something, I forget the numbers, but it's supposed to not protect our children. It's supposed to. I know that bill's not going to pass. I know that they're not, Newsom is, not passing bills and our military's in charge. What, you have any words of wisdom to help me what I should say? Because people here are moving, they're freaking out. They're freaking out because California has changed. They're pushing the vaccines in schools even more, which they think a lot of people think they're not supposed to. And then, we have CVS stores with COVID signs all over the parking lots. Can you give me some words of wisdom to help say to people, I know that this stuff's not going to happen, but no one's listening to me. Do you have any words that you could help me with?
Yes. And that's to keep your mouth closed.
So don't say
Because,
so don't say anything.
no.
Okay,
And
got it.
the reason that I say that is because they have free will for their own experience, and that we're really not to intervene in their free will of their experience. So the more we try, a lot of times, the more it causes a division within our relationship with people because they're not ready to hear those things in which you are going to say, no matter what it is. Okay. And so it's going to be taken the wrong way. And so you always have to just basically be there as a person for them to be ready for them to ask questions. When they ask questions, answer them specifically, not with crazy town, with stuff you can actually prove. Because if you go to crazy town on them that you can't prove, then you're going to lose them. And that's not what they need. What they need is they need the very, very lightest amount of truth that you can back up 100% with, and stop until they ask for something else. People have a tendency, because they get excited, oh my God, you're waking up, and then blah, 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 and then you just fucking crippled them because you just gave them the fucking all of it. And it's like, whoa, you didn't learn all this in 1 minute, and they can't either. You're going to overwhelm them and they're going to shut down. So only tell them what they're asking, nothing else. And then they know that they can trust you when they begin to wake up with something else, and it opens the door. I have so many complete freaking liberal friends at work and other places that over the years, because of the way that I've been with them, they always ask me, what do you think about what's going on right now? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? I want to be specific. I don't want that giant question where I could just go off on them. What do you mean exactly? Then they tell me, and then I respond to it with something that they can swallow. And then I go, everything's not as you think it is. And then I leave, I walk away, makes them continually start thinking where they want to know more. And then they're going to come back and ask me later, what more do they need to know about things? And I have had, friends at work that are complete lesbian off, and it's not a bad thing. It's not my thing, and I don't think it's good, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me that they're off the deep end with the way that they think. but they're seeing it too. And because I've just been a friend to them without making that an issue, and just genuinely ask them about their lives, about their kids, how they're doing, and just been real with them, it's opened the door for them to, when they do start waking up, they come and ask questions to somebody that they think that they can trust. And that's an important thing. Trust, and whether or not they think you give a shit about them. That's
Okay,
important.
yeah, and it's funny because the reason why I thought I would ask you that is because here I was at this rally and I thought so many people were awake, and but they're not. But they are fighting for something, so I was impressed. So I didn't say anything to anybody. I just heard everybody talking about the AB bill and the vaccines, and I didn't say anything. And I thought, okay. And then tonight I thought maybe he has some words of wisdom. So shutting up is good. Thank you very much.
Yes, just
Thank you,
let them
Jen.
wake up on their own pace, and they will, because of the events. Just like this event caused them to wake up, and you saw the change that's happened because of it. Let the events do the waking up, and when they ask questions about things, then you can be there as a sounding board to help them through it. That's what
And
we're
it-
really supposed to be. We're supposed
and
to be that circle of influence sounding board to help them process and make it through these changes.
And just so everybody knows, in case you haven't seen it, Jimmy Kimmel's show has been pulled because of some remarks he talked about on Kirk. So his passing is making a large statement, everybody. So look at it in that regard. It's huge. All right, Captain. So I'm going to read you. There's several of these questions here on the board. So let me see. Let's get to some of these. All right. So we have one from Dove Star. How soon and how will the Muslim population in Texas and Minnesota, along with other areas, be dealt with? Will they deport them? That was from Dove Star.
So in Texas, they're already being dealt with. In Minnesota, you got a few more quackeries up there, and they're trying to allow it to take place because of Omar and all these other lunatics up there. But the deal is that if they're here legally and lawfully, you're not going to deport them just because they have a difference of an opinion. But if they do something that threatens our constitutional way of life by their ideology of pushing that, well, that is grounds for them to be deported, because it takes away their standing on how they're in our country, whether it be the visa, work visa, whatever it may be. Because someone that comes to our country lawfully and actually becomes a U.S. citizen, they actually have to learn things about our government, our country, the Constitution, all these kinds of things that they actually have to learn, and learn them to the point where they can answer them, that most people, most individuals that live here, born here, don't even know. And so that's a grounds for them to be able to get their citizenship coming here, and are they going to be a fit for our country? And so they can go through everything but not do the things that they need to pass the exam on coming to become a citizen, and not be able to. So the ideology of the Muslim faith is really simple. It's that you have a caliphate of Muslims in every country around the world, and basically their ideology allows for the takeover of governmental systems in like communities, then cities, then states, and then countries, so that they can initiate a Sharia law system that is for the entirety of the world. It's really that simple. And the the way that the Muslim religion is that we will deal with the fact that you're not a Muslim until we get to a point that we don't have to accept or deal with you anymore. So it's like, we'll tolerate you because you're basically an infidel until that point comes where we're in control and we don't have to deal with you anymore. And we already know what that is like in other countries around the world. And so that goes 100% against the Constitution, that you cannot have a community, any size community, that goes by Sharia law and not constitutional law inside the United States of America, period. And so, is it possible for them to have a community that's based upon Sharia law? No. And so that's already been nixed in Texas because they were trying to do it on the down low, and they started buying all this property and then making it the Muslim community, and that was their intent, that where only Muslims could live there, and that they were going to institute Sharia law after it was all built and developed. Well, guess what? The state is now not issuing their building permits for them to build out the community like they wanted to. So you can't build something that is not able to lawfully be built. So they done shot themselves in the foot in the state of Texas. So that same thing will happen anywhere else they try to plant their flag in that manner, and not like in where you have Chinatown or Muslim area inside of a city, because that is still under the law of whatever the state, city actually produces. And so they may try to implement Sharia law, but if you do, that makes them lawbreakers. And even though they think that they're, upholding their law, their Muslim beliefs, religious law doesn't supersede the community state laws or federal law in that aspect. And so they'll be dealt with in that manner. And so it's all being allowed to a certain degree. Everything is to a measure, so that people finally get a taste of what they, meaning the deep state and the evil that was on the other side, not all, the evil, the bad, the controllers, were trying to implement upon us in our unaware state of darkness. Now that light's been added to it, people are seeing it and going, oh my God, what's happening? We can't allow this. Well, yeah, light's being shined on it so that there's awareness to it, so that people see what it truly is. It's the same thing with the border crisis. Whenever all the border shit that was going on, they allowed certain aspects of this to happen under control, military knowing that this happened, who was where, all of this stuff. And in that, did certain people have consequences for that? Well, yes, because people ended up getting killed. People ended up getting, accosted by it, and all these other things happened. But we are at war. But being at war means that individuals are going to die. There's going to be casualties. And you're always trying to minimize the casualties for the very best outcome. And the outcome has to be awareness to the problem of how great it truly is, so that you can not ever allow it to come back in. But just telling people, how well has that worked out for you on telling people about COVID? How well has that worked out for you telling people about the criminals in the government and all that? They don't hear it. No matter what you present to them, they have to see it, experience it, and now they have a perspective of how it actually affects them. But until then, they're just not ever going to get it.
So it goes back to the saying, everybody, you sometimes have to show the people and not just tell them for them to wake up. So again, a lot of these phrases have some real meaning to it. Now you're starting to see
They're not just
exactly.
catchphrases.
Yeah,
They're actual
that's
realities.
what I'm trying to say. And now you
Yes.
actually are seeing them come to fruition and what they really mean by it. So yeah, you're spot on, Captain. All right, let's see. Here's a question for you. Question. This is from Cal. You mentioned a few weeks back that by the end of September or 1st of October, something big should happen. Does that still stand?
It's
Thank
already
you.
fucking happening.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk, I think.
I mean, that is only part of the things that are going to happen. I mean, if you think about that, and then you think about the stuff that's happened over and 2 million people in Britain, right? Walking the
Yeah.
street, and then they say, oh, it's 100,000. What? Have you lost your freaking mind? It's just like on January 6th, right? They said it was only a couple 100,000 people there. That was in DC. Bullshit. I was there. It was solid people from the White House all the way to the fucking monument. Solid. There was easily 1.5 million people that was in DC that day. Easy. And it's like they're always trying to minimize it because they don't want you to grasp how many people are feeling exactly the same way you are and how many people are actually beginning to stand up and say, enough is enough, no more, we're not taking this anymore, and this is all numbered. Your days are numbered. And that's a reality. But until people finally get just how bad it really is, that's the time in which they're going to finally allow just the measures that need to be taken to eliminate the problems of what needs to actually happen. And so right now, the things that are happening are actually facilitating consent of the people. Because if you were to do things that really need to be done, I mean, taking over, and I mean, just flushing the freaking shitholes all down the drain. I mean, all the way through the Congress, and not just here, but all over the world. If you did that right now, just on mass scale, majority of the people would not be on board with it. But they're getting closer and closer to going, I don't care what you have to do. We got to fix this problem. That is the manufactured consent of the people going, I don't care what you need to do it. Because we need this fixed. But they have to be squeezed. They have to feel it. And that's what we're going through right now, is the feeling of the squeeze so that they can do exactly what they need to do to eliminate this so we never have to ever experience it again, because there will be no getaways. There's going to be no redemption for people.
We're going through the birthing pains.
We are going through the birthing pains. It's like I've never had a given birth, right? But I can experience that through my own pains of different events of just how great that I believe the pain is, and is it worth it whenever the child shows up 5 minutes after it's happened? Yes. But before that baby's actually all the way out, I want to fucking kill you. I want to kill you for what you done to me. Oh my God, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me in my whole life. I love it so much. Thank you for being here with me and holding my hand and loving me through all of this. But 5 minutes ago, I want to stab you in the neck.
Oh, Captain, you're cracking me up back here. But it's true. It's so
It's
true.
so true. I mean, I'm going to tell people the things that they're afraid to say. I don't care because I don't
Well,
care what people think about me because I'm authentic on who I am and I don't care. I don't ask people's permission because I don't look for people's approval on what I'm going to say or not say. So I don't ever use that. And that's what I apologized for earlier today, that I was insensitive to people's pain. That was that was wrong in my aspect. And I will never do that again.
well,
But
we
telling
love you.
people the truth, I'm going to continually tell people the truth, whether they want to hear it, how they want to hear it. I don't care.
No, we want to
'Cause
hear
I
it,
can-
Captain. We love you for your truthfulness and your transparency for sure. I'm the same way. Like it is what it is, right?
It is.
It is what it is.
And I don't make it out like I'm some holier than thou person that I ain't never done. I'm a shithead that just happens to be in the know. That's all. I ain't nothing special.
Well, you are to us, Captain. You're our favorite captain. All right, we're gonna go to Peggy Simmons. Your mic is unmuted. Do you have a question for Captain? Go ahead. Go ahead, Peggy. All right, Glenn Godley, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jenny. Hi, Captain Kyle. I have a question, and you actually triggered this question back when you were talking about the Trump assassination attempt in Butler with the fireman Corey. I think his name was Comparatori.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. So, this has been on my mind for probably 3 years. When we talk about NPCs, and I remember probably a couple years back, I was on, I can't remember whose Zoom call, and the guest that was on, I think they were a vet, and somebody asked the question about how widespread or prevalent is this evil all over the earth. And the response was, go to your front door, open it, look left, look right. It's all around you. And that's how prevalent it is. And so, in kind of thinking about all of this, and I'm in Jersey, so, Jersey, you just say Jersey and it speaks for itself. Every single freaking day, there are cars blowing up, burning, incinerating, trucks, all kinds of vehicles on the interstates. And I keep seeing odd things happening, and I'm wondering, so it's kind of twofold. Are they taking people out, making it look like it's just a car that catches on fire, or in any other way? Are NPCs, are they, if like Corey, if they're triggered, are they, I'm trying to understand how this works. Are they triggered because they've been told to do something, or is it something that they don't have any control over whatsoever?
They don't have any control. So what it is when they've developed mind control, and it usually starts whenever they're really young. And through the way that it's done, it causes them to build a wall in their brain, right? And in that brain, there's a specific area that they wall off and protect. And that is the area in which is the controlled state that the controller develops so that something triggers that personality of whatever's in that box, so to speak. And it's usually a word or a phrase or something of that nature that's not normal, that they would never normally just hear in public or in that environment, so that they don't get triggered falsely. Because when they actually get triggered, it's kind of like they snap as like a dual personality, and that other personality actually takes complete control, and whatever was facilitated within that control scheme, they will actually do. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's like they're on a mission from God. Even though they're not, that's the mentality that they have when that gets activated. And so a lot of these people that have done things that after the fact, they say when they're interviewed, things it's like all of a sudden I just snapped. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't even realize the reality that I was in. It was like something was driving me to do the things in which I was doing, and I had no control over it. And those are the things that are the tales of someone that has been viciously manipulated through mind control as a child, growing all the way up and through their adulthood, to be programmed for something like that. And they used to do it really a lot back in the 60s and early 70s from Russia and other places, where they would actually have them come into the United States as like college transfer kids and students and things of that nature, and then after finishing their school they would end up living here, to starting a life, whatever. But they were just one trigger away from being that whatever they were intended to be done by their controller. And it's like, when you start looking into just how bad MK Ultra was and how effective it really was, and the people that have been manipulated that way for those things like assassins and different stuff, it's like that person you wouldn't even know even was capable of that. That's how well that whole system has been basically developed and kept in secrecy, because like the government, we stopped MK Ultra programs and all that in like 68, 69. They lied their ass off. They never stopped. They just changed the name of it and went on by doing it in a different development pattern. And it's like, this has always been a threat. And there's another individual out there, I'm not going to say who it is, has actually talked about Corey, and that his name, his last name, was an actual name that was associated with a specific sect of individuals that were sleepers within the United States for them to be activated whenever it was time, and at a very high level trained individual. And so take for an example of all of his firefighting abilities and he was a captain, and all of his emergency services and all that he did in his normal reality. Imagine him snapping and then going into his trained facade. That other stuff doesn't, like, you don't forget nothing. But you would have never known he was hanging out right next door to you and being your neighbor.
Do you think that this is something that they've activated through other means, through if say even our young students, if kids were in the hospital, or was it through the educational system? Did they do it right under parents' noses, or is this somebody that goes away to like some camp to be MK Ultra'd?
So that specifically, it's usually somebody's been abducted, they've been taken, they've been a part of that whole we have you, we own you kind of deal as a child. And even if they didn't do it that way, then their parents were a part of the sect that actually was a part of their programming. There's a lot of people that are like that even today that have come out and talked about it. If you go into starting to listen to some that were being programmed as, sex slaves and all kinds of stuff, and that their parents were the facilitators of it, along with an actual, what's the name of it, of the person that does it, is I got a brain fart right now, but it'd be like your, handler. That's it. Your handler actually is the one that does all of your stuff. But the parents are facilitating it because they're fully aware of what's happening and they're doing it. They're right on board with it. And they're actually pawning and playing that role as well within their own lives because they've been a part of it their entirety of their life as well. And it's scary to think that that's possible, but you know, it's not whenever you think of how easy it is for people to be psychologically manipulated, because it's really actually pretty easy because they've been doing it forever. But I mean, when somebody's traumatized or goes through a traumatic experience, they normally go into a state that brings on self-preservation, and they try to block off and wall off everything that's happened to them. And when it continues to happen over a long period of time, they get the what the hell is it called? It's the syndrome where they protect their abductors.
Like Stockholm?
Yes, that's it. And where they actually begin to be manipulated to the point where that becomes their caregiver and they go to protect, even though it's all crazy. You look at it from the outside and be like, how in the world can they do that? And it's because they have done that manipulation, and that little place within their brain is who they really are. That's their safe place, and everything else in their reality is that other persona. And anything that bad happens to them, they go to that place of their safety, so they act like that none of this ever happened to me. And it's like just the opposite. And they do that on purpose for self-preservation. And when a person gets away from that, it's really hard for them to actually recall a lot of the traumatic events that's actually happened to them, because they went to that safe space so they didn't have to experience it, even though that other persona did. And it's like, a lot of times the only way that they can get that out of them is through like a deep therapy or like a hypnosis session and stuff that allows your subconscious to bring forth that other space.
Got it. Thank you very much.
That's a really deep thing. And it's a really
Yeah.
deep question to begin to think about that in that way. And you just don't really know who people are. And you always have to kind of be guarded in that aspect. And when you start to know somebody is when you start to be around them in very, very difficult, intense situations, because that's whenever those tales or signs will begin to expose themselves. It's like when you start, Charlie used to say this, when you start dating somebody, immediately you got to put them in a difficult situation, like go on a freaking drive road trip with them for like, 10 hours both ways, and make it difficult to find out how they are. Not in the good things, but in the difficult things. How they are around their parents, how they are around their family when things are bad. How do they speak to people? How do they act? That's who they are. And if any red flags come out, and it's in the beginning year or so, you got to think about it. When somebody first is introduced to you, they're a poser. They're trying to put their best face on you and trying to be able to be all those things in which are expectations. But over time, through difficulties, they start to have cracks in that persona. And we, because of our feelings towards somebody or something, we dismiss it. Oh, well, they're just having a bad day. No, they're showing you who they are. And when that face, that poser face, that best thing that they got for you gets taken off, that's a fucking monster, and you just don't realize it.
Thank you, Captain. Um,
Let's do
You
one
got-
more.
Okay, so here's a question here about Tina Peters. Let's see, where is it at? Where'd it go? From Carol B. Grand evening. I hope this gets answered if you can. Does Captain Kyle know anything regarding Tina Peters? Will she ever be released from jail? Divine gratitude.
Do you know 100% that she's locked up?
No. We don't know shit.
Exactly. So I ain't saying that she's not or she is. I'm just saying we don't know what we don't know. And it's hard for me to really allow me to wrap my head around the fact that something that atrocious would really be allowed and that threat to be like that. Just like Julian Assange. He was never in prison more than the time period he was for him to show up and do the things that he had to do. He showed up, did the stuff, made the presentation, and then he was in solitary confinement because he was never there.
See how everything, people, the things just don't add up, right? And we are smart individuals. So if it doesn't feel right, then it's probably not right. So it's like Captain says, it's just we don't know. We don't know unless we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. So, but
And
everybody,
talks like a duck is probably a fucking duck.
there you go. So I say everybody sit back. And again, like I said and Captain said, your feelings matter. They are important. You deal with your feelings how you're going to. Just please try to keep your emotions in check because we know they get the best of us. And just remember, things aren't always as they seem. So with that, Captain, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Peace out.
All right, so you good. Well, it's good seeing you. We'll pray for Kelly and Carrie, and God bless everybody here. We'll see you on Friday with Troy Let Everything XRP. Take care, Captain. Thank you.
Later.